Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. We're here. We're back at it again, and we're going to get on into it. But before we do, as always, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And with that being said, here's a quick word from our sponsors. Organic herbs and botanicals, skincare and edibles, wellness for body and mind. The Brothers Apothecary. Fine teas and remedies. Ronald Records. From indie gems to classic hits, discover the heart of local music. With live shows all the time, up close and personal, and regular releases on their in-house label. Ronald Records. Supporting the community, one track at a time. All right, thank you all so much for watching. Again, shout out The Brothers Apothecary, Ronald Records, and Portland Water. Thanks for keeping us hydrated. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get on into it. Here is today's guest.
Hey, what's up? I'm Kid Curry.
Hello. Thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about, who you are, where you're from, what you do. Give us that Tinder profile of your involvement with music.
Shoot, I'm Kid Curry, like I said, and I was born in Seattle, but I didn't stay there for very long because I moved over here to Portland when I was four or five-ish.
Oh, okay.
Lived in downtown Portland for a little while in this little motel thing called Kent Motel. It's a interesting place.
I was gonna say it's a place.
Yeah, it's a place.
Yeah,
we'll go with that.
Call it a place. Yeah. It's got an address.
It's got an address.
Yeah.
And then from there we moved over to 82nd, good old 82nd.
Yep.
That's where I spent most of my life. So it was a interesting journey there. But I guess when I got into music, I guess specifically when I got into hip hop / rap music.
Well, let's go back to the beginning of the music. When was your early moments into doing it?
Ooh, early. I guess 6th grade. 6th grade is when I really got into my own kind of music. Because obviously, I would be in the car when I'm younger. I would hear the music my parents were playing, but I would never go out of my way. Mostly because I didn't really have the means to. I didn't have my own phone or anything. So I wouldn't go out of the way to listen to my own music. But when I got into 6th grade, when I got into middle school, once I started surrounding myself with more friends and people in general, then I started to get my own taste for music. Funny enough, my own taste was hip hop and rap music.
Gotcha. Okay, so you went in. That's what you went into when you first started making music.
Oh yeah, I went straight because I remember one day. I was sitting in, I don't remember if I was sitting in class or at home or something, but I was sitting there and I was listening to an Eminem song and I was like, dude,
this guy's okay.
This guy's okay. Yeah, this guy's decent. I was like,
yeah, he's got a couple bars.
I was like, imagine if I could just fucking use my words in the way that someone like that can use their words, and just sounded so cool to me, It just sounded so cool. And from there on, I was like, you know what? Screw it. Might as well try to. And obviously, the first song that I ever wrote was complete, absolute, horrid tragedy ass.
And we're gonna play it. Right now.
No. I actually never. It was it wasn't even until I turned 17, 18 when I first actually started recording things. But for many years before that, I was writing. Every day.
Putting it down so you can figure out how to get it out.
So a lot of my earliest stuff is actually not even recorded. I don't even have any of that stuff anymore because there's been multiple instances where I write a lot of my stuff in the notes of my phone. So when there's difficulties, there's technical difficulties.
Yeah, or if you finally make the jump from any other platform to the phone, like everybody should. Hell yeah! All right, now before we get into more of what you do in the present day, do you have a couple foundation questions I like to check in with everybody on? This first one's one we ask early, it's one we ask often, and it's definitely a crowd favorite. What was the first album you ever bought with your own money?
The first physical CD that I ever bought with my own money was, I don't remember. It was the Marshall Mathers LP or the Slim Shady LP. It was one of the two. I think it was the Marshall Mathers LP. I remember
either answer would be acceptable for, I imagine.
I remember I saw it, and it's funny too, because like it wasn't even like I was that young when I bought it. I was like maybe 15 or 16, but I remember seeing it in a bin at Best Buy, and I was like, you know what? I've never bought an actual album before in my life, so this would be cool to say that this would be my first album that I bought. And that's the reasons why I bought it.
I give you credit for the intentionality.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you still have it?
No, I don't actually.
Darn it. 50-50 on answer for that question. I don't have my first CD still. My first CD was the Carter.
Oh, which one?
Yeah.
One?
Carter.
Oh,
Carter.
wow.
Yeah. I was much too young to be buying it, but I certainly did.
Well, yeah, that's awesome.
But we're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about you. And what was one of the first live shows you ever went to that was like specifically one you wanted to go to? So like you saw what was happening, you got tickets.
It was funny. The first live show that I actually ever went to was one that I wanted to go to and got tickets to, and it was a Tech Nine.
Oh, hell yeah. Okay, hell yeah.
Let me tell you, because I was 16 at the time, and I was in a pretty serious relationship at the time too. And there's this, for anyone out there who's a Tech Nine fan, they know that there's a song whenever he plays it at shows. It's called Areola or Areola. Every time he plays that song, it's like a thing for every woman in the building to rip off their shirts. And I didn't know that at the time. So I'm with one of my good friends at the time, who is a female, of course. So he starts playing the song, and she looks at me, and we're damn near at the front of the crowd, and she's like, "Get on your knees right now." And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, what's going on here? She gets up on my shoulders, and she's like, "Whatever you do, don't look up." And I look around the room, and I have never seen so many boobs in one place in my life as a 16-year-old kid. So yeah, that was a memorable first.
Wait, hold on. I gotta ask, have you seen that many boobs in one room since?
No, I have not, actually. So
okay. So the age is not derivative of the scenario.
Yep. But yeah, that was
well, that is a
memorable first show.
Yes, very much so. Very much so. All right, and then before we officially get into the now, do you have a defining moment where you decided you wanted to take music more seriously?
Trying to think if there was a specific moment where I was like, all right, I'm finally doing this. I think it was more of a gradual thing, because ever since, the reason I started writing things in the first place all the way back in 6th grade was because I knew I wanted to do it at some point. It was just a matter of me being able to get the resources to do so. So I think
putting in the effort to be good enough.
And that too, exactly. Getting the right, penmanship, lyricism and all that. And I think it was just a matter of me actually getting, like, for example, it took me like about 2 years or so after I got out of middle school, but I finally got my first audio interface and first little mic, and that's when I actually first started recording things. But way prior to that, it was a whole plan that I had, and obviously I was saving money for it. So... And it's crazy too, because once I finally got it, and once I started recording myself, I realized how much I didn't know. I thought I was ready to start recording, start releasing music. I record myself.
Yeah, it's how many buttons could it be?
Exactly. No,
there's many buttons.
I recorded my first track myself, and oh my goodness, it was It took a long time between the time where I first recorded to the time where I first got comfortable enough to release something.
Well, it's like it just like, just like rapping or just like singing or just like playing an instrument, you have to go through like so many motions to first figure out the individual bits, and then to figure out how to connect the individual bits. And then once you figure out how to do that, then you have to decide how you want to do. So once you learn all the rules, you have to learn what rules aren't actually rules. And it's just, there's so much that goes into it. And honestly, I feel bad that everybody feels like they need to do that. You know what I mean? Like there are plenty of people out there that will do one or the other. I wish more people were more inclined to being like, I don't want to do this. I would rather just do that because like, I could not imagine. I never loved working on my own stuff from start to finish as a full song. So, but that's neither here nor there. Let's go ahead and let's get on into the present day. We are going to get a super easy one out of the way. How'd you pick the name?
It's funny. One of my old friends, Yvonne, shout out to Yvonne if you ever see this. She came up with the name one day while me and my real good friend Josiah and her, we were just chilling in her. She had this little house in her backyard, this little guest house. We were just chilling in there and we were freestyling. I freestyled some bullshit about a cup. Fun fact also, I'm bad at freestyling. That's
and me both.
The point. Anyways,
we're actually gonna have him do it right now.
And we were just freestyling. And another fun fact: I'm Indian. My dad's side of the family is from Trinidad. So, and she knew that. So she was like, "Hey, Kid Curry on the mic talking about cups." And it's funny because at first I completely hated the name. I was like, "You son of a bitch."
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, given the origin of the concept,
exactly
understandable.
Actually, like it's funny because 2 years down the line, after like we stopped, I haven't talked to her for a while, and after we got disconnected, is when the name finally started to grow on me.
Well, I mean, it's not a bad name.
No, I like it.
Easy to spell. It's easy to remember. It looks
exactly.
Good. The letters all work. So, like, as a name,
aesthetically,
it's pretty solid. Yeah, like
it out, or when I see it on like flyers or something, it actually like I'm happy with how it looks. So,
yeah, and it's like it's cool because like both of the words like attach your like brain to things. But neither of those words neither word together is like an automatic, oh, that reminds me exactly of this. So it's like there's that like associated attachment, but it's like second or third degree. So yeah, it's a pretty solid name. Now let's go ahead and we're going to talk about your writing process. And we're going to break it up into chunks, but we're going to start right at the beginning. So when you get inspired, you're ready to make music. What do you do to get a track started?
Usually when I know that I need, because there's a lot of times where like, I'll schedule a studio session and, I'll, for whatever reason, I'm not able to work or write because I have work or whatever. And that same day I'll have to, go home and whip something up. So usually in those processes, I go home, I sit down, I find a beat that I like, whether it be on YouTube or from, just the countless amount of emails that producers have sent me. I find the beat, whatever beat that's vibing with me at the moment, I pick that, and then I just, whatever, it's really easy for me to work off of just one line. Once I come up with that first line, it's kind of like everything just falls into place after that, but it's always that first introductory line that really like fucks with me.
Yeah.
It's like how
that jumping off
like
point.
How do you start this? How do you get someone hooked just from the first couple words? Because essentially that's what the song's supposed to do, at least in my eyes,
yeah, and I can see where you're coming from with that. Yeah.
And like I said, once I'm able to get that first bar or first 2 bars down, it kind of just falls into place. And not like I said, I'm bad at freestyling, so it's not like okay, this bar, this bar, this bar. Otherwise, I'd say I'm a freestyler, and I could freestyle, but no, it takes me. I think of one bar, and then I usually think of the last, rhyming word that I'm going to use in that rhyme scheme, and then I kind of fill in the blank, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I'm saying something like I sat on a chair, and then I do hair, and then I say, okay, I'm going to rhyme that last bar with hair. So I just need to fill in the blank there and put something that makes sense with, that last bar, but also has hair implemented, You see when it's a process.
Very much so. Very much so. And you said that you primarily write on your phone?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So how do you what happens when you have an idea like outside of the studio and you put that in there? Like, do you usually come home and work on it from there? Or do you only take your phone out to write when there's a beat on?
I'm always writing down different ideas in my phone, but I
Mhm.
don't, because it's funny. At least to me, the most clever things, the most like the best bars that I think of are always in times when I don't have like quick and easy access to my phone or whatever I'm trying to write it down on. Like I'll be in the shower and I'll be like, oh, shit, that was really good, you know? And then
You got to tell Siri to take a note for
see, that's the thing. I don't bring my, like, for example, in the shower, I don't bring my phone in the bathroom because of all the steam and I've had it, mess up my
Oh.
and stuff. So I can't do that.
Yeah, if you have it just outside and you yell, she will hear you.
Siri!
Ask me how I know.
Crazy. Oh, man. That's a good idea. No lie.
Yeah, but getting back to you. So when you have one that you've put into your phone, will you sometimes go to those to like use as jumping off points, or do you wait until you've gotten that first line down and then look into your phone for like what?
It depends on how stumped I get, because some beats I will feel and like so much to where I'll instantly get a flow and that starting bar, like I said. And then some beats I'll really like to the point where I want to use them, but I'm like, okay, how the hell am I gonna flow on this? And at that point, that's when I would start to go back into my reserves, I guess you would say, and start picking and choosing from there and be like, all right, would this fit? Would this fit?
Gotcha. Okay, so you try to come up with something in the moment.
Exactly. I try to
go to that
as fresh as I can in the moment, but obviously that just doesn't always work out,
Yeah. No, that's a smart way to do it though, because then you're going to always kind of have some stuff on hand because you're not trying to clean out that.
Exactly. And it's not like I'm reusing these things too, because the vault of stuff that I keep is things that I've never said in a song before, or things that, I want to say.
Well, once you've used them.
Exactly. And once
you've used them, you don't need to.
That out and, not use that again. Unless for whatever reason I'm trying to reference that, or
you can call back your own stuff, but you gotta lay down some lore before that happens for sure. And then once you get a track finished writing, so it doesn't have to be like recorded and released, but it's at the point where you can start memorizing it. How long does it usually take you to feel comfortable enough to perform it?
Oh, at first, it took it took me a good 2 weeks before I could really like memorize, get the lyrics down, and actually be comfortable enough to actually go up on stage and do it. But now, give me like a solid hour and a half with the song on repeat.
Okay.
It's that's if like I freshly recorded it. Give me a good solid hour and a half with it on repeat, maybe 2 hours, and I think I can have it down and ready to.
Okay, I dig that. Now I want to take a moment. I want to talk about some of your music.
Yeah.
So I jumped on Yield Spotify. And you've got music on there going all the way back to 2019.
I do.
And you've definitely got some bars.
I appreciate it.
And even from like the beginning, you've kind of been putting it down like that. And like it was cool is that as time progressed, you've definitely developed.
Oh yeah.
Like there is growth in there. Your delivery got really tight, really cold, but you've still got this like melodic twinge to you. So like STFU and No Time, definitely more of that like wavy vibe. But on STFU specifically, you're still barring out a little bit on that one. And while I would love to talk to you about your most recent track, Aspirin and Water, I already did talk about that track on the third installment of Jambox Listens, which y'all can go check out after this right now. It's up to you. So I went back a little bit further because Aspirin and Water is cool, but like I said, I already said my thoughts about it. So I went back to Boogie because that track is wild. Like the harpsichord in the beginning, the way you come in before the beat even comes in, like you set it up really crazy, and you were just going the whole time. It gave really like. Do you remember like Funk Volume when they were in their prime?
Oh yeah.
It definitely had like that. Like I want to say like a little bit of that Tech Nine influence, but like everything Funk Volume kind of does as well. So I feel it redundant to say, but like it definitely had that twinge to it, but it didn't sound like them. It still sounded like you. But it's really cool. It's really a really well put together track.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
So yeah, super cool one. But I am curious to know, out of all of the music you have available, what are some of your favorite tracks to perform?
Ooh. No lie, I really love doing features or tracks that I just have like, my homies on, just because that energy on stage it's just so fun. So I mean, like STFU, that I loved. I mean, I'm pretty sure I've only performed that song like twice, but the 2 times we performed that song, me and my homie Jay McCoy. Big shout out to Jay McCoy, one of the most talented motherfuckers in this city. I swear to God. Anyways, me and every time we perform that song afterwards, me and him would be like, dude, that song is just so fun to perform. Why don't we perform this more often? What the hell? So I love performing that song. And
Well, we actually have him here right behind.
whoa, no. And probably Aspirin and Water is a fun one to perform.
It's a cool track. I appreciate you sending it in, by the way. I know I said it off camera, but it is a very cool track. Hell yeah. Now I want to take a moment. I want to zoom out. We'll look at kind of more music as a whole. What are you listening to right now? What are you taking in?
Ooh, no lie. I've been really vibing with Kendrick's new album, GNX. I really like that album.
Hell yeah.
Drake, it's funny because, there's this whole, Drake, Kendrick thing going on, but I like to separate the artist from the music. So even if I do think Drake got smashed in that beef, he still got some hits. He's still got some bangers. That new song that he dropped, I've been really fucking with. That's a bop. So yeah, but Drake, Kendrick, who else? EBK J-Bo. That one song, Boogeyman. He has a song called Boogeyman too. That's it at our wedding.
Hell yeah. And I get when you're listening to music, how do you find inspiration? Like, what are you listening for as far as like ways to like grow your craft?
One of the things I'm really big on is bars. I like, it's like you said, you hear me bar out in a lot of my songs. It's because I try to make sure I'm saying, some shit that'll get you, thinking, some shit that'll get you like, going back to the song and being like, hold on, what did you just say? That's the stuff that I find really cool. So that's the stuff like, for example, that's, when I listen to Kendrick, I'm listening to the way he's putting together those words and those metaphors and those catchphrases. And I'm like, man, why the hell wouldn't I think of that, Or, not even just him specifically, just anyone who has that thought in their mind when they're making music. People like, J. Cole, those people like that are big inspirations just for that factor alone, Just the way that they can put together their words in a way that most people can't, It's just the simple fact.
Hell yeah. All right, now before we move into the next part, this next question is probably the densest question in the interview. But we talked about your experience with music, the actions, the reactions. But when it's just you and music, one-on-one, what does music give back to you?
Ooh. It gives me a way to express myself that I can't in pretty much any other way, Because it's funny too, because, there's this huge thing on people being like, oh, you have to be about every single thing you rap. And, it at the same time, it's cool if, a lot of the if you solely are rapping about your soul experiences and all that, that's cool. That's a cool story to tell. But at the same time, music is entertainment, It's no different than a movie or a video game where the sole purpose of those things is to entertain someone. And one of the reasons I love to do music is I like to entertain people, So whether that be me telling people about my life and what I've been through, or whether that be me putting on a character, like for example, Boogeyman, I put the whole rollout for that thing was me in this scary mask, I'm some serial killer. The whole song is about me being a serial killer, it was released during Halloween. Stuff allegedly. It's stuff like that, It's fun to create scenarios and stories and characters and base them off your true experiences, as well as also tell those true experiences.
Oh yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to move on to some hypothetical questions. And for these, sky's the limit. The questions are all made up, so the answers are allowed to be as well. But this first one is pretty straightforward. If you could work with any one person, the only requirement is they have to be alive, Who would you want to work with, and how would you want to work?
I would really like to work with someone like The Weeknd. I would really love to get.
Yeah,
oh
definitely a good room to be in, regardless of what you're doing.
Because, I mean, that's me and my fiance over there. We love The Weeknd. I mean, he's one of his songs is going to be the song that we do our first dance to. Like that's artists that we like share together. So if I were to be able to get a feature from The Weeknd, yeah, that would be. Plus, just the way he can sing, dude.
Yeah, the man is very talented. Oh yeah. All right, and then subsequently, who's a local artist that you're aware of that you haven't gotten to connect with yet, but you would like to?
It's cool because I have had the opportunity to connect with I feel like a good portion of the local artists here, but let's see. Who haven't I? You know, I guess I have connected with them a tiny bit, but the one person I would like to connect with more is probably E.T. the Prophet. You ever heard of E.T. the Prophet? We talked a long time ago, like when I first started doing shows here, and he sent me in one verse for one of my songs, and that was like the last we ever spoke to each other. But I really liked that guy, and I liked how he rapped, and I've seen what he's been doing. You know, I'm pretty sure I still follow him on Instagram, and he has some good music. He has some crazy flows. He's dope.
Yeah, hell yeah. And then for this next one, like I said before, sky's the limit, and it's pretty literal in this sense. But if you could perform anywhere in the world, and you wouldn't have to worry about crowd access or building stability or power, guaranteed the best lineup, guaranteed the best show, it doesn't have to be a venue, it could be anywhere. Where would you want to perform?
Anywhere in the world? The Great Pyramid.
Ooh, okay.
So cool. Like imagine you're at the top of a Great Pyramid performing one of your songs. Oh man, that'd be something else.
That would be wild for sure. So you'd want to be at the very top?
Very top. At the very top.
Would there be a crowd there, or would they be down on the
crowd would be down on the bottom.
Okay. Would you have something flying around you?
See, that's the thing. There would be a
pyramid,
huge, and I mean huge screen behind me, obviously, so they can see what's happening. Yeah, I would want to be on the top.
Hell yeah, I dig that. And then to wrap up the hypothetical questions, if you could get one more album from anybody, they could be alive, they could be dead, they could have not put out an album in 100 years, they could have put out an album yesterday. Who would you want an album from?
I could really do with another Pop Smoke album. It was too soon. Too soon. Oh, he was so talented.
Yeah.
He had so much potential. If we could have gotten another, and the other album that we did get from him, it was super unfortunate because it just was nothing that he would have ever wanted. Because for the people who have seen the interviews and shit, he's always said that he doesn't fuck with people. You have to be a very specific person for him to work with.
Yeah.
And 99% of those features on that album, which that album was 99% features, were not people he would ever think of working with. And that's why it was unfortunate, because it was, of course, all the labels dipping their hands in the, honey pot.
Yeah.
And, mixing things together to make a profit. But yeah, I would love to see another Pop Smoke album, like a legit one.
Hell yeah. All right. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and start wrapping this up. What can we look forward to in the next 6 months? What do you got going on?
Within the next 6 months, I'm definitely going to be releasing my first full-length album called The Chef.
Hell yeah.
Exact release date, that's to be determined, but it's definitely going to be within the next 6 months.
Hell yeah. Well, definitely looking forward to that.
Oh, yeah.
For this next one, then, go and look straight at your camera. Tell everybody how they can find you.
You can find me on essentially all platforms, Instagram, at Curry the Kid, Spotify, Kid Curry, Apple Music, TikTok, you name it. Yeah, that's all of them. Anyways, yeah.
Hell yeah. And then any other plugs, any other shout outs, anybody else you want to put on while you're on here?
And okay, big shout out to my homies Frosty, Jay, and Hyperbeam. Those dudes.
Shout out Hyperbeam.
Oh yeah, dude. Those dudes, those are my bros. Those are my homies. And with some of them literally the most talented people in Portland. No doubt, no question about it.
Hell yeah.
Take that in your pipe and smoke it, or whatever these kids say now.
Yeah, take it to the bank and
take it to the
deposit it.
Yeah.
All right, with that being said, I've got one last question to go. But before we do, I'm going to steal the camera for just a second. As always, y'all, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And one more shout out to the Brothers Apothecary, Ronald Records, and Portland Water. Thanks for keeping us hydrated. And with that being said, the final question. And this is entirely up to your interpretation. But in all of music, what is an album you feel is more on the obscure side? A bit of a deep cut. It's one not a lot of people would know, but it's one you think everybody should know.
What's that? What's the gazing at the moonlight? I think by Hobson. One of his real early album.
Yeah,
real early. But I really loved it because that was the album that song Nocturnal Rainbows was on. Nocturnal Rainbows. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I grew up on
that is
stuff.
That is actually a super. I haven't listened to that album in a long time.
Exactly. That's a deep cut.
That is a deep cut for sure. Hell yeah. Well, thank you for that rec.
Yeah.
With that being said, though, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And this has been another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. I'm Jimmy.
I'm Kid Curry.
And we're signing off. Later, y'all.
That's a wrap.
This is not a podcast. This is a show.
Keep jamming.